One of the countries struggling to provide clean water to its people is Nicaragua. It's rich in natural resources, but it's also the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. The lack of infrastructure and its government's inability to provide water leaves half the rural population without adequate access to water and sanitation. CCTV's Nitza Soledad Perez visited some of those communities whose dream to have potable water is so close and yet at the same time so far from their reach.
10% of the Nicaraguan landscape is covered by water. Its topography even includes a lake so vast that it's home to an island with 2 volcanoes. But more than half of the rural population of Nicaragua does not have access to clean drinking water. It takes Elba Espinosa more than 3 hours round trip to go to the closest spring to get water for her daily needs.
We wash the clothes down there with a lot of difficulty because we go down with a load and we come back with it, and it's even heavier because the clothes are wet.
Her community is known as Agua Fria, or cold water, but that name is elusive to their reality. This is one of the communities that has no water resources close by. The nearest one is about 2 kilometers down. But the government is providing some help to them. They've loaned them some big bulldozers or machines to create this path that can make it easier for the residents to come down and get some water. Of the 2.4 million people living in rural Nicaragua, only 27% have access to piped water, and 34% have access to acceptable sanitation facilities.
El agua cuando ustedes la suben para tomar, ¿se la toman?
Do you add anything to the water once you bring it up?
No, ¿para qué decirle cuando viene la
brigada? Oh no. What can I tell you? When the brigade comes, they add something, but the rest of the time, we just use it.
Claro que sí. Así la tomamos.
Well, Japan does a lot in the region.
Robert Bell is executive director of a non-governmental organization called El Porvenir that is working hard to provide clean water and sanitation techniques to these communities.
Diarrhea is the biggest problem, certainly. It could be from parasites or different types of parasites or from bacteria or viruses, but diarrhea is still one of the #1 killers worldwide of children. And so that's the big problem.
Most of the rural residents of Nicaragua obtain their water from shallow wells, rivers, streams, and lakes that are polluted with human feces, pesticides, and industrial toxins. They bath, wash clothes, and sometimes even bring their animals to drink at the same water source. During our journey through the northern rural part of Nicaragua, we also encounter communities that are fighting against their odds. According to NGO El Porvenir, regardless of the lack of government resources, the community of Los Cerritos has been working around the clock for 462 days to get water to their homes. They're digging a trench 3.5 kilometers long to bury a pipe that will bring water from the closest natural spring.
When we were just 1 kilometer into it, the kids were jumping for joy. They would come with their horses and get the water back to their homes.
And for them, moving is not an option. Before Ana Sequeira got married, she used to live in a community that had a well. But once she started a family, she moved to Los Cerritos with her husband 32 years ago.
I would tell my husband, I can't take this anymore. I want to get out of here because I'm getting old and I cannot take carrying water for such long distances. But he would tell me that we are too poor to go and buy a house that has water or a lot that has water close by. We have to stay here.
These residents are staying where they are, but they're pushing forward. Tranquilino Tremiño, the leader of another community nearby, went looking for assistance. Initially, the international organization CARE provided some help, and then came El Porvenir. The deal was, we help you with planning and design, but the community has to implement it. Their contribution is the manpower.
We started working. We installed the water points, the sanitation, everything we did ourselves, the tank and the tubing.
For Tranquilino's wife, it has been a blessing. For 30 years, she's been down this trail to procure water.
Era dura, trabajando mucho.
My life was hard. I would work a lot because we would go to the well to bring water, leaving the kids home alone and sometimes tired or sick with the flu. I had no choice but to go and get water. Now we have it close by, and all the women here, we have gained weight. We were so skinny.
I asked a leader of the modal community in the region, Las Mesas, to take me through the perilous journey residents had to undertake day after day to fetch water. Mud, cliffs, heat, and exhaustion were some of the challenges I faced. But something I learned from these people is that when there is a will, there is a way. They eventually got electricity, a computer, an access road, and built a school. But most importantly, access to water.
I would constantly tell these politicians that water has no religious or political affiliation. Water is for everyone, and we all need it to survive.
Nitza, Soledad, Perez, CCTV, Matagalpa, Nicaragua.